Hello divas, dudes and dolls, I'm Caricature and welcome back to my little review show full of trains rights, trains wrongs, and trains in between. Very slay, where we go over each and every floor show look on the Boulet Brothers Dragula Season 6. And this week we had one of my favorite aesthetic challenges on Dragula. It's the Ghost Challenge, and this season it's specifically set within a ghost train. People who have died on the train or have been cursed to haunt the train and stay aboard this eerie vessel for all of eternity. They also had to do a lip sync performance to a Boulet Brothers song, but honestly, who cares about that? We're here to talk about the looks. That's more important. My golly, were there some good ones this week. Have a feeling a few of those are gonna get put on the backlog of things I want to draw. Just putting that out there, just so you're aware. For anyone new to the channel who doesn't know how the show works, if I thought it got the job done, met the brief, but didn't blow me away, we give it an okay. If it sent absolute shivers down my spine in the best way, we give it a slay. And if I thought it was a bit of a miss, and that Luigi should come in with the Poltergeist 5000 and get to second, we give it an A. And that's all in efforts to find my weekly Slay of the Day, my favorite look of the whole episode. Whichever look comes out on top will go head to head against our current Slay of the Season, which at the moment is Anti-Heroine's Killer Doll look from episode 2. Whichever look holds that top spot at the end of the season will get a little illustration made by me eventually, and sneak peeks of said illustration and anything else I'm working on artistically and beyond can be found over on my Patreon, and you can start seeing all of that by joining at the $3 tier level. If you want episode discussions of everything that I think from these first 4 episodes, you can join for free to join in that discussion over there. The full episode discussions were really what my content started out with, but I just didn't enjoy doing them in a video format anymore, and I like doing these kind of condensed write-ups. So if you want to see all of that, you can get that over there, and that will include things like my opinions on some standout lip sync performances, opinions on the episode, production shenanigans, drama, the like. And again, you can access all of that by joining as a free member. If you want to support the channel in general for free, easiest way to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe, all those lovely little things, but I will take super chats if you are feeling so generous and want to open your little purses some. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's get aboard this lovely little ghost train, punch those tickets, and start diving into these looks. For this particular show, when we do these reviews, I do these alphabetically, and we're going to continue that format. So this week we are going to, once again, as always, start off with Asia Consent. Asia's concept was specifically like the coal shoveler on the train, and I think that was a really cool idea and a really cool starting point. Not necessarily a traveler, but to do one of the workers on the train. That being said, I think it's a bit of a miss from like here down. I thought the top treatment of this, I loved the shirt collar, the more sort of menswear take that she did on this overall, and I loved the concept that she started off with of the coal shoveler who just went up in flames. That being said, from here down, it's a bit of a miss, and that's predominantly because I think that the shirt and the big sleeves, that works. I love the makeup, I love the hair as always. I love that she went with like this ghostly spectral blue fire. It's very Ember from Danny Phantom coded, like that color palette. So I'm a fan of that, I'm here for it. I didn't really like the low-rise pants with the little thong Y2K kind of silhouette for the bottom half of this look. I didn't think it really worked as well with the whole idea. It's probably the least like ghostly of all of them. It's more raver. I think that's a very apt critique for it. This is okay for me. Up next we have Anti-Heroine, who gave us a ghost detective. This I actually really love. I think it really shows the sense of pageantry that her drag aesthetic comes from. I love the fabric. I love the stone detailing in this. I love the little detective hat popped on top of her hair. I love the makeup. This little mustache is really cute too. And I loved her little prop usage throughout the performance. I loved the magnifying glass. And I wasn't at all surprised that she was in the top this week. For me, this is a slay. Then up next, we have the winner of this week, my icon, my diva, my mother, Aurora Gosmic. I was so happy to see that she won with this look and that she really got to shine. I know she's not necessarily known for being a performer, but I think this look is incredible. She absolutely took the critique that the Boulets gave her of, if glamour is what you do, more than anything else, take that glamour and run all the way to the bank with that. And that's exactly what she did here. I love what she did with the briefcase where she's got the slit with the jewels, the way that's textured, the rhinestone blood, all of that. It adds to this like kind of murderous macabre story that like she like cut up a body and stuffed it inside of the suitcase and jewels of the person are now spilling out or something. I think the little pops of red are really well placed. I loved the first stole, loved the color of this hair, I loved the dress. Everything about this to me was a massive smashing success. This is 1,000,000% a slay. Then up next we have our bottom 2 diva this week, Grey Matter, giving us a little cowboy gold rush moment. For me, hands down, the weakest look that he's presented in the competition up to this point. And I find it kind of odd that he did this like really pared down menswear look. He was on the stage last week with the eliminated contestant who did a really pared down menswear look that didn't really have anywhere to go. And I understand that like menswear is harder to elevate into a drag space because there's not as much you can do with it silhouette wise. I think it was interesting to see Grey do something that was more human and less monster. I think saying that he looked more like a haunt actor than a drag performer is a very apt description. There wasn't like that elevation of the gender performance. And that's ultimately what drag is. It's taking the idea of gender as an art form, whether it's male, female, both, neither, whatever the case may be, and exaggerating it to like an extreme degree in your physicality, in your aesthetic, whatever. Grey didn't really have any of that this week, and it was a miss for me. I'm gonna give this look an A. It's well executed, but it's not up to snuff with everything else. Then up next we have Jaharia, and at first I thought this look was kind of underwhelming. It is one of the safer looks of the bunch this week. I think safe is a very apt placement for her. The church lady here with her fan and her Bible, like I know women like this in real life. She really knocked it out of the park in that regard. I loved the idea of like the burns mixed in with it. I think the blue color palette makes sense. I know a lot of them stuck with the blue ghostly color palette this week. But again, if it works, it works. This for me is an overall successful look, but I wasn't blown away by it by any means. It's okay. But up next we have Majesty, who, again, I think in terms of all the looks we've seen this season, this is probably my favorite one. I love this sort of film noir energy that this look has. It feels like it's right out of like a Casablanca era kind of film. And all the railroad spikes in the back as the method of death is, I think, a really interesting approach. I love that that was how the railway theme was brought into the look. But overall, I wasn't blown away by it. I think safe is also appropriate for it. And I'm curious to see what they're going to do because it did really seem like they were setting up Majesty volunteering to go home. And they made the death a cliffhanger. So we'll see. It's okay. Then up next we have Pie. And I think from the neck up, gorgeous. I love the hair. I love the makeup. I know people were critiquing the hair. I thought it was interesting to not go with like the kind of old Hollywood classic, like, you know, silent film era styling that you could very easily do with this concept. I think having the railroad attached as a literal back piece is pretty camp, and I loved the color treatment of it, so it all kind of aesthetically made sense together. And I thought it was cute. I actually really liked the bodysuit and like the skin treatment, the way that that's colored and textured. I thought was really interesting. In terms of the overall presentation, I wasn't super blown away by it. So again, this is gonna be an okay. Then up next we have Vivi the Force, who was also in our bottom 2 this week, and we have their fate left undetermined with Grey's. And I think this burnt bride and the intestines, like innards, like brought into the skirt, it really feels like fabric. It looks more like a fabric than entrails. So I thought that was kind of an interesting aesthetic choice. I do agree that the fact that she's not painted from behind is a huge miss. Sticking herself under the train wheel, I think, really limited her ability to perform. And then she's also tied up, so that's limited her even more. I think she just didn't think about the fact that it was a performance challenge, or she thought, Auntie won by being super limited. I can probably win being super limited too. Well, look where it got you. Isn't it shocking? For me, this is also gonna be an A. I just don't think it really reads super ghostly compared to the rest of this cast. And finally, we have Yuri, and I personally think Yuri should have kept the blindfold on. Not that the makeup underneath is bad or anything, it's actually quite gorgeous. The blindfold aesthetic, that visual of her in the train being this like bound, blinded ghost woman, I think is so much more haunting, so much more visually effective. The look itself, really, really gorgeous. And just in terms of a costume construction standpoint, I thought this was a wild success. I love that she didn't do blue, she went with neutrals. She looked like a ghost out of an actual horror film. Like a period accurate, like historical ghost that's been around for a long time, very old, versus these more cartoony ones that we've got with over half of the cast. So for me, I'm gonna give her a slay this week. For me, this is absolutely a slay, and I'm glad that she's finally arrived to the competition. And that is everybody. The question on everybody's lips I know who watched this episode is, who the fuck went home? Who got exterminated? Who got zapped to death and turned into a skeleton? I personally do think it's going to be that Majesty chose to leave, or Majesty had a breakdown. Something's gotta happen here, because both Gray and Vivi are in future episodes that we see in the trailer. So they're gonna be there, but we haven't seen any unaired looks from Majesty yet. So that's what I'm kind of leaning towards at this point, but we need to figure out my slate of the day this week. And it should not be any surprise as to who takes it, because while I think Win is going to be hands down my slate of the day, and that's gonna go to Aurora Gosnick. And now when we put Aurora's look here up against anti-heroines, as much as I think both of these looks would be so fun to draw, I have a very clear personal vested interest in both of their success, but I also have a very clear bias towards one over the other. So I am going to be keeping Aurora as my slay of the season going into next week. And if the numbers are right, next week is going to be Monsters of Rock. And we've already seen some Kiss-inspired looks. What I'm assuming the other 4 is going to be almost like a mythological creatures thing, because Vivi fully has like a pan flute in the trailer. So I'm interested to see what the other group is going to do and how it's all going to play out. But we will see you all in the next one. Be sure, as always, to like, comment, subscribe, all those lovely little things. And be sure to go out there, y'all. Stay kind, stay queer, and make sure that your day is very slay.